Luo Feng secluded himself and used the biomimetic eye of destruction to study more than 300 remains of low-level innate primordial life, carefully observing their intricate secret patterns. These remains, which embodied the mysteries of life, destruction, or both, contained knowledge far beyond the complete Great Tao. Through patient study, he realized that true comprehension required building a solid foundation from the lowest level upward before tackling higher-level mysteries such as the blood-colored scale from the Star Tower. As his understanding deepened, his path of destruction naturally broke through to the ultimate realm only half an epoch after arriving in the Nine Rivers Sacred Realm. Though he had already been on the verge of this breakthrough before. His first complete study of all the remains, done without any cultivation treasures, unexpectedly consumed 36 epochs. Afterwards, he used primordial crystals to greatly enhance his comprehension, spending another 15 epochs organizing and integrating everything he had learned into his own cultivation system. Luo Feng realized that without these primordial life remains, many mysteries would have taken him countless years to discover on his own. And he compared the blood-colored scale to a distant star that could only be reached through countless gradual breakthroughs supported by sufficient resources. During his second round of study, assisted by primordial crystals, he completed the analysis much faster in only 12 epochs and spent another 6 epochs integrating the knowledge, naturally creating several ultimate realm secret techniques of the life and death Tao as his accumulated understanding transformed into practical techniques. For the third round, Luo Feng used the extremely expensive Heaven and Earth Unity pills, each worth 30,000 primordial crystals. After swallowing one, his body and soul seemed to merge with the heaven and earth rules, allowing his thoughts to accelerate dramatically and enabling him to directly grasp the deeper essence of life and destruction. Supported by 2 pills, he rapidly completed the third round of comprehension. And while organizing his insights, his understanding naturally advanced until he fully comprehended the complete Great Tao of life and death. He continued cultivating with a third pill until its effects faded, leaving him mentally exhausted but satisfied. His entire retreat lasted 87 epochs. Yet the results far surpassed 2,000 epochs of cultivation in the land of origin because the abundant primordial life remains constantly provided fresh inspiration and prevented him from reaching bottlenecks. Luo Feng was unsurprised that the Great Tao of life and death had reached the ultimate realm, since he had already accumulated 8 ultimate realm secret techniques previously and simply needed sufficient understanding to complete the breakthrough. More importantly, he finally established clear directions for his future cultivation. His path of life would pursue the ultimate expansion of life, aiming to create a life force as vast as, or even greater than, an entire source world. His path of destruction would focus solely on achieving the ultimate killing power without concern for any weaknesses. Finally, his path of life and death would merge these 2 absolute extremes into one complete Tao. Although such cultivation paths were extraordinarily difficult and filled with flaws that ordinary cultivators could never manage, Luo Feng believed he alone could combine them successfully through the Great Tao of life and death. Inspired by the blood-colored scale from the Star Tower, he saw the outline of a path that might eventually allow him to break free from the braided cage. Though he knew countless obstacles still lay ahead. After recovering with primordial crystals, Luo Feng created new secret techniques for all 5 of his avatars based on his perfected Great Tao of life and death. Having mastered the complete Tao, even his ordinary attacks became ultimate realm secret techniques, while combinations of techniques could evolve into forbidden killing moves with dramatically greater power. After another 3 epochs of preparation, he finally ended his seclusion, planning to purchase suitable weapon secret treasures before joining Emperor Qing on hunting expeditions. Meanwhile, Emperor Qing had patiently waited while continuing to strengthen himself. Emperor Ming and Di Fu, lacking even a single primordial crystal, repeatedly wandered around Yulan City searching for opportunities, examining primordial life remains in merchants' shops despite being unable to inspect them closely. Emperor Qing believed Di Fu was too weak to even find work in the city, while Emperor Ming, thanks to his primordial bloodline, barely possessed early-stage divine emperor strength and could obtain employment, although he seemed dissatisfied with such work. When Luo Feng emerged from seclusion, Emperor Qing was surprised that he had finished so quickly, but became delighted after hearing Luo Feng say he was nearly ready to buy weapon treasures and finally head out to hunt together. Emperor Qing suggested that before hunting together, They should explain their specialties so they could cooperate effectively. He revealed that he cultivated the space-grade Dao and excelled at controlling sword arrays to trap and kill enemies. Luo Feng replied that he specialized in close-range combat, since the great Tao of life and death naturally revolved around the cycle of life and death. It was perfectly suited for direct fighting, having already reached the ultimate realm in the great Tao of life and death. Luo Feng's combat ability alone matched an ordinary early-stage divine emperor. Combined with his 5 extraordinary avatars, his overall strength far surpassed most body refinement cultivators, whose physical bodies might be powerful but lacked such unique abilities. Delighted, Emperor Qing declared that his trapping techniques and Luo Feng's melee combat would form an ideal partnership. However, Luo Feng admitted he still lacked a suitable weapon, so Emperor Qing immediately accompanied him to purchase one, even prepared to lend primordial crystals if necessary. They visited a merchant in Yulan City's inner city, where Luo Feng chose a pair of black gloves crafted by Tao Lord Waning Moon during his early years. The gloves embodied the mysteries of both the life and destruction paths, making them especially valuable for someone cultivating both. The attendant explained that Tao Lord Waning Moon had since advanced both paths to the half-step primordial level and had become one of the dark sacred realm's greatest experts. Although the gloves were initially priced at 150,000 primordial crystals, Luo Feng bargained skillfully, and after negotiations with the hallmaster, purchased them for only 98,000 primordial crystals. The gloves had originally been forged for Tao Lord Waning Moon's disciple when he himself was at the late-stage divine emperor level and serving as one of Yulan City's powerful elders, nearly comparable to the hallmaster in strength. After fusing the gloves with himself, Luo Feng immediately felt the profound fusion of life and death within them and treasured them greatly. Emperor Qing remarked that treasures from late-stage divine emperors were generally affordable, whereas even the cheapest treasures left behind by perfect divine emperors would cost well over 1,000,000 primordial crystals. Although pleased with his bargain, Luo Feng realized that after spending over 190,000 primordial crystals on cultivation resources previously and another 98,000 on the gloves, his remaining wealth had become rather limited. Meanwhile, inside their cave mansion, Di Fu asked Emperor Ming whether he truly intended to join hunting expeditions. Emperor Ming confirmed that after spending nearly a century in Yulan City, he had met many bloodline cultivators who had reached the early divine emperor stage through primordial bloodlines. Since established hunting teams would not accept newcomers like them, they had no choice but to organize their own group. Although dozens of early-stage divine emperors working together could potentially kill even the weakest low-level primordial life forms, Di Fu reminded him that the danger of death remained extremely high. Emperor Ming calmly revealed that he had secretly prepared multiple life-saving measures. Unable to rely on clone techniques, he had exchanged rewards from the infinite space treasure vault for extremely precious soul-bound life-saving treasures through primogenitor Yan Feng, in addition to another life-saving treasure obtained personally from the treasure vault. These treasures would automatically activate whenever he faced fatal danger. Knowing that survival was his highest priority, Emperor Ming believed that without risking himself in battles against low-level primordial life forms, he could never truly rise among the strong. Di Fu advised him to choose companions with great care. Since outside Yulan City, the city's laws offered no protection and betrayal was always possible. Emperor Ming agreed, explaining that he had delayed leaving precisely because he had been patiently searching for trustworthy teammates. Reliable companions with both strength and integrity were exceptionally rare, which was also why Emperor Qing had been so delighted to recruit Luo Feng. After mastering the newly purchased gloves for more than 100 days, Luo Feng quietly departed Yulan City alongside Emperor Qing aboard Emperor Qing's strongest black flying boat, which possessed remarkable concealment abilities. Emperor Qing explained that their primary hunting targets would be early-stage divine emperor low-level primordial life forms. Although they were capable of confronting middle-stage opponents, killing them would be far more difficult. Luo Feng pointed out that judging an enemy's true strength simply by appearance was unreliable. And Emperor Qing replied that experience would be the key to making accurate assessments together. Once outside the city, Emperor Qing reminded Luo Feng that they needed to remain vigilant not only against primordial life forms but also against other cultivators. Luo Feng immediately activated the biomimetic Eye of Destruction on his forehead, allowing him to observe everything within billions of kilometers, including traces of spacetime, aura, willpower, and fluctuations left behind over time. Emperor Qing simultaneously used his own secret treasure to scan the surrounding void. As they approached the cold ice river, one of the 9 rivers filled with countless low-level primordial life forms, Emperor Qing explained that over 90% of them were only early-stage divine emperors, making encounters with exceptionally powerful monsters relatively uncommon. Unlike previous hunts where he had constantly worried about treacherous teammates, Emperor Qing felt far more relaxed this time because both he and Luo Feng possessed avatars in the land of origin, making betrayal nearly impossible unless tempted by unimaginable rewards. While conversing, Luo Feng suddenly discovered a hidden 3-faced gray-winged beast lurking in the void. The enormous creature possessed gigantic wings covered in lifeless gray scales, razor-sharp claws, a triangular head with 3 emotionless faces, and patiently waited in ambush for passing cultivators. Using the biomimetic Eye of Destruction, Luo Feng analyzed its size, aura, and fluctuations, concluding that it was still only an early-stage divine emperor. He projected a phantom map to mark its exact location, allowing Emperor Qing to verify the target as they carefully approached. Eager for his first real battle against a low-level primordial life form, Luo Feng volunteered to attack first while Emperor Qing observed and only intervened if necessary. Before engaging, Luo Feng transformed his incredibly resilient heavenly light avatar into a white robe, using it as armor instead of ordinary secret treasure armor, since it could regenerate rapidly even after severe damage. Then, utilizing the time avatar, Luo Feng instantly stepped into the future timeline, an exceedingly rare ability that astonished Emperor Qing. Hidden within the void, the 3-faced gray-winged beast patiently waited to ambush passing cultivators, believing that devouring them would earn rewards from heaven and earth and eventually allow it to leave this world. Suddenly, Luo Feng unleashed a colossal world projection that descended upon the beast, while his heaven and earth avatar merged completely with the surrounding world, turning the environment itself into his domain. Empowered by his greatly enhanced spiritual will, strengthened after bringing the great Tao's of life, destruction, and especially life and death to the ultimate realm, and supported by his world avatar's energy reserves 300 times greater than a perfect divine body. The overwhelming suppression severely restricted the beast, reducing it to only 60 or 70% of its normal strength. At the same time, Luo Feng's causality avatar activated the forbidden heavenly extinguishing curse technique, one of the powerful techniques he had created after mastering the great Tao of life and death. While his world avatar simultaneously unleashed the Lai Yuan technique, the combined assault devastated the beast's consciousness, leaving its immensely durable soul and body disoriented despite its naturally extraordinary resilience. Taking advantage of the opening, Luo Feng instantly appeared before the stunned 3-faced gray-winged beast. Wearing the newly acquired secret treasure gloves, he concentrated the profound fusion of life and death into his claw-like hands and violently pierced straight through the creature's chest. Luo Feng pierced through the 3-faced gray-winged beast's incredibly tough chest scales with his secret treasure gloves, whose blade-like fingers carried the power of the life and death Tao. He tore open a massive wound, sending purple blood spraying everywhere. Although the armor was much tougher than expected, Luo Feng was relieved that his opening combination of the forbidden spell and Lai Yuan technique had left the beast unable to resist his full-powered assault. Severely wounded, the beast awakened completely and fired a devastating gray light beam from its front face. Luo Feng instantly shrank his body and slipped into the huge wound in its chest. Barely avoiding the attack, the beam only grazed his back, erasing part of his robe and skin, but thanks to his heavenly light avatar, both recovered almost immediately. Inside the beast's body, Luo Feng endured crushing flesh, corrosive blood, and powerful pressure while searching for its hidden life core. As Luo Feng dug deeper, tearing through flesh and bone with his claws, the beast suffered intense pain from the destruction inside its body. From the flying boat, Emperor Qing watched in astonishment as Luo Feng completely dominated the battle in close combat. He knew that even the weakest low-level primordial life possessed an extremely powerful body. Yet Luo Feng had ripped open its chest and forced his way inside. However, Emperor Qing also understood from experience that killing a low-level primordial life was extremely difficult. Most hunting teams required several early-stage Divine Emperor experts working together. And defeating one alone was considered a remarkable achievement. While Luo Feng searched for the life core, the beast suddenly transformed from its physical form into an endless gray mist. Although this weakened its offensive power and defense, it greatly increased its mobility, survivability, stealth, and escape abilities. The gray mist was even more corrosive than its blood, rapidly damaging Luo Feng's robe, though his avatar continuously regenerated it. Countless sharp claws emerged from the mist and repeatedly struck Luo Feng's body, tearing through his robe and leaving shallow wounds across his chest, back, and limbs. Yet his world avatar possessed an enormous energy reserve, exceptional durability, and overwhelming regenerative abilities, allowing every injury to heal almost instantly. Shocked, the beast realized that Luo Feng's physical body and life force were even stronger than its own, while his techniques and secret treasures far surpassed anything it could overcome. Recognizing it could not win, it decided to flee. As the mist attempted to escape, Luo Feng unleashed his forbidden spell, Palm World. Combining his heaven and earth avatar with the surrounding world domain, he recreated the power of the innate secret treasure Palm World using 8 ultimate realm techniques of the life and death Tao. A gigantic illusory palm containing an entire world descended, trapping the gray mist and greatly slowing its escape. Sensing danger, the beast split itself into 9 separate streams of mist and scattered in different directions. Luo Feng immediately activated another forbidden spell, Time Walker. His time avatar attacked simultaneously from the past, present, and future, destroying one stream after another. As the 7th stream was obliterated, a spinning meatball emerged from within it, the hidden life core. Although the time avatar's attacks could suppress the core, they were not powerful enough to destroy it directly. Using Palm World to restrict its movement, Luo Feng's world avatar instantly caught up to the fleeing life core. Empowered by his secret treasure gloves, whose natural abilities surpassed even forbidden spells, Luo Feng slashed across the meatball with his 5 blade-like fingers. The life core let out a desperate scream as 3 deep gashes split across its surface. Instantly, all the gray mist stopped moving, merged back together, and reverted into the enormous corpse of the 3-faced gray-winged beast, which crashed heavily onto the ground. Luo Feng finally relaxed, satisfied that he had successfully killed his first low-level primordial life. He knew the victory had required nearly everything he possessed, including the Lai Yuan technique, multiple forbidden spells tailored to his various avatars, the complete life and death Tao, and the immense power of his secret treasure gloves. Even against the weakest early-stage Divine Emperor low-level primordial life, he had been forced to fight with everything he had. Emperor Qing arrived beside him, deeply impressed by what he had witnessed. He pointed out that Luo Feng had not merely relied on his opening surprise attack. Once the beast transformed into mist, Luo Feng had completely overpowered it in direct combat, proving his superior physical strength. Emperor Qing admitted that very few early-stage Divine Emperor enlightened experts could kill a low-level primordial life alone and declared Luo Feng to be among the strongest of that level. He confessed that he had initially underestimated Luo Feng, believing him to be an ordinary early-stage Divine Emperor without exceptionally powerful treasures. But Luo Feng's performance had far exceeded his expectations. With Luo Feng as his hunting partner, Emperor Qing believed they could now tackle much more dangerous prey. Luo Feng modestly replied that he was simply well-suited to counter the 3-faced gray-winged beast and might struggle against other low-level primordial life with different innate abilities. Emperor Qing laughed, saying that this was exactly why hunters formed teams. Luo Feng collected the massive corpse, marking his first successful hunt of a low-level primordial life. Although Emperor Qing insisted that the entire reward belonged to Luo Feng because he had defeated it alone, Luo Feng refused and insisted on following their original agreement of splitting all spoils equally. Emperor Qing accepted, recognizing that Luo Feng's combat ability now made him an invaluable partner rather than someone needing assistance. When Luo Feng asked about the beast's value, Emperor Qing estimated it was worth around 800,000 primordial crystals. Luo Feng also learned that middle-stage Divine Emperor low-level primordial life were worth far more, though even together they would have almost no chance of killing one. Encouraged by the success of their first hunt, Emperor Qing eagerly suggested they continue searching for more prey. Emperor Qing trapped the low-level primordial life frost nightmare messenger inside his 3000 worlds formation, creating a separate world where the giant ice creature was isolated. The frost nightmare messenger released endless freezing mist and searched desperately for its enemies. But the cultivators never approached directly. Instead, Emperor Qing activated the 3000 kill array, causing billions of interlocking sword lights to fill the formation. The sword lights worked together like intricate gears, dramatically amplifying the array's power until the frost nightmare messenger was completely overwhelmed. Unable to resist, its body and core were torn apart, and Emperor Qing calmly appeared afterward to collect its remains, which retained most of their value despite the damage. Luo Feng praised Emperor Qing's swift and decisive victory, noting that the 3000 kill array was far more profound than when they had sparred previously. Emperor Qing explained that he had purchased a half primordial level secret treasure array map for 5 million primordial crystals, greatly enhancing the array's strength, while also admitting that the frost nightmare messenger happened to be naturally countered by his techniques. Luo Feng acknowledged that Emperor Qing, whose cultivation had nearly reached the middle stage of the divine emperor realm, possessed greater mastery and explosive combat power than himself. Later, the two attempted to hunt another low-level primordial life known as the Thunder Weasel. Luo Feng used both his Forbidden Curse technique and the Lai Yuan technique to force the creature out of its hidden state within the thunderclouds, briefly stunning it and exposing its true form. However, the Thunder Weasel possessed extraordinary survivability. Although Emperor Qing immediately launched a full-powered attack with the 3000 kill array, the beast endured the strike, sacrificed most of its strength, broke through the edge of the formation, and escaped. Emperor Qing admitted that he had failed to finish it within the brief opening Luo Feng had created. The Thunder Weasel, despite only possessing early divine emperor strength, embodied exceptionally profound thunder laws and was worth roughly 3 million primordial crystals, making its escape particularly regrettable. Luo Feng accepted the outcome, recognizing that low-level primordial life naturally possessed many extraordinary talents, with some even capable of infiltrating heavily protected places like Yulan City to assassinate cultivators before escaping. As they continued hunting together, Luo Feng and Emperor Qing developed increasingly effective teamwork. Luo Feng's causality avatar repeatedly used the heavenly extinguishing curse technique together with the Lai Yuan technique to briefly daze early-stage divine emperor low-level primordial lives, creating tiny opportunities for decisive attacks. Luo Feng then engaged the enemies directly in close combat while Emperor Qing surrounded them with the overwhelmingly powerful 3000 kill array, whose strength exceeded Luo Feng's heaven and earth avatar combined with his world projection by more than 10 times. Through this coordinated strategy, they successfully killed one early-stage divine emperor low-level primordial life after another. While traveling stealthily aboard their black flying boat, Luo Feng activated his biomimetic Eye of Destruction to search for prey while Emperor Qing relied on his own space-based detection techniques. Unknown to both of them, a colossal void weaver had already integrated itself into the surrounding void. Its tens of thousands of limbs continuously wove space itself into an enormous invisible web that gradually spread across the region. The flying boat unknowingly entered the center of this trap while both cultivators remained unaware. Only at the last moment did Emperor Qing sense a vague but overwhelming danger hidden within the void. He immediately ordered a retreat and pushed the flying boat to its maximum speed. But before they could escape, countless layers of invisible spatial webbing fully materialized and surrounded them, as the gigantic void weaver finally revealed its true form and terrifying aura. Both Luo Feng and Emperor Qing instantly recognized the powerful creature and realized the immense danger they had fallen into. Luo Feng and Emperor Qing were forced to flee immediately after encountering a late-stage divine emperor void weaver, a terrifying primordial life powerful enough that even enlightened mid-stage divine emperors would avoid fighting. Emperor Qing stored the black flying boat, while Luo Feng's time avatar carried him into the future timeline according to their prearranged escape plan. Since Emperor Qing was carrying their most valuable possessions, including the secret treasure array map, the flying boat, life-saving treasures, and 6 low-level primordial life corpses worth millions of primordial crystals. Luo Feng chose to stay behind and cover the retreat. However, the Void Weaver's mastery over the void also extended into time itself, allowing its countless silk threads to invade the future timeline and continue pursuing them. Realizing ordinary escape methods would not be enough, Luo Feng used his causality avatar to unleash the forbidden heavenly extinguishing curse technique together with the Lai Yuan technique. By this point, his repeated breakthroughs in the Tao's of life, destruction, and life and death had raised his spiritual will to the late Divine Emperor level. Although it was still far from the extremely rare high-level primordial life standard needed to break free of the braided cage. The combined spiritual attacks briefly delayed the Void Weaver, with the Lai Yuan technique providing most of the power, giving Luo Feng's time avatar just enough time to carry Emperor Qing beyond the creature's range of influence. Once Emperor Qing escaped safely, Luo Feng remained behind to stall the monster. His world avatar split into 3 powerful copies, each possessing enormous energy reserves, and charged the Void Weaver using techniques such as world projection, Heaven and Earth unite, and Heaven and Earth escape. Despite their desperate resistance, the Void Weaver proved overwhelmingly powerful. In the end, only Luo Feng's Heaven and Earth avatar successfully escaped during the chaos, preserving his only pair of secret treasure gloves, while his other avatars, including the causality, world, and heavenly light avatars, were sacrificed. The battle consumed an enormous amount of accumulated energy reserves, representing centuries of cultivation. Back inside the flying boat, Emperor Qing praised Luo Feng for protecting both him and their spoils without forcing him to use his expensive life-saving treasure. Such treasures were extremely valuable in the 9 Rivers sacred realm, costing anywhere from hundreds of thousands to millions of primordial crystals, and many cultivators relied on them as their final means of survival. Following the team's agreed rules, Emperor Qing compensated Luo Feng 500,000 primordial crystals for the losses of his avatars and energy reserves. Their 6 primordial life corpses were estimated to be worth about 6.5 million primordial crystals, resulting in Luo Feng receiving roughly 3.5 million and Emperor Qing about 3 million. Satisfied with their profits and recognizing the increasing danger of continued hunting, the two decided to return to Yulan City before encountering even stronger primordial life forms such as perfect stage divine emperors. Luo Feng acknowledged that his remaining combat strength had been greatly reduced and planned to carefully spend his newfound wealth through the infinite space treasure vault, where his mastery of the great Tao of life and death granted him access to superior rewards. During the journey back, Emperor Qing deliberately took a long detour to avoid cultivators waiting to rob returning hunters, while Luo Feng continuously scanned the surroundings with the biomimetic eye of destruction. After narrowly avoiding several dangers, the black flying boat finally passed through the gates of Yulan City, allowing both of them to breathe a sigh of relief after surviving the perilous expedition. After their successful hunt, Emperor Qing led Luo Feng to the Primordial Hall in Yulan City's inner city, the main place where large quantities of low-level primordial life corpses were traded. He explained that the first floor handled corpse transactions, while the second floor was used to claim combat merits, which were earned by killing low-level primordial lives. These merits could eventually be exchanged for extremely valuable treasures, including some from the infinite space treasure vault. However, because 6 early-stage Divine Emperor corpses only yielded 6 combat merits, most hunting teams preferred to sell both the corpses and the attached combat merits together for immediate profit instead of accumulating them, since it was impossible to determine who had originally killed a creature. Anyone presenting a freshly slain corpse could register the combat merits under their own name. Only hall masters and powerful elders usually collected combat merits on a large scale. Arriving at the enormous deep blue primordial hall, whose countless stored corpses radiated a hidden aura of slaughter accumulated over endless years, Luo Feng was reminded that hunting always involved enormous rewards but equally deadly risks. The first floor contained 13 independent buyers competing to purchase low-level primordial life corpses. Emperor Qing introduced Luo Feng to Bu, the friendly manager of shop number 3, and negotiated prices before comparing offers from several familiar shops. Eventually, the 6 corpses were sold among 3 different shops for a total of 6.08 million primordial crystals, while the 6 combat merits were sold separately for 600.000 primordial crystals, making the total income 6.68 million primordial crystals. Luo Feng noticed the primordial hall seemed unusually quiet, but Emperor Qing explained that although Yulan City contained hundreds of thousands of hunting teams, each typically hunted only once every several hundred eras or even longer, so large transactions were relatively uncommon. The two then divided the spoils. Since Luo Feng had taken significant risks supporting the battle from the rear, Emperor Qing first awarded him an extra 500.000 primordial crystals before splitting the remaining profits equally. Luo Feng ultimately received 3.59 million primordial crystals, while Emperor Qing kept 3.09 million. Luo Feng immediately repaid the 100.000 primordial crystals he had previously borrowed. Instead of accepting the full amount, Emperor Qing sold him an illusion realm maze for 90.000 primordial crystals. This highly advanced spatial storage secret treasure normally cost 100.000 primordial crystals in Yulan City and was considered almost impossible to steal from, making it a standard possession for nearly every divine emperor. Emperor Qing revealed that he had acquired several of them from defeated robbers over the years and had prepared one specifically because he knew Luo Feng would want it after his first successful hunt. After refining the treasure, Luo Feng still possessed about 3.4 million primordial crystals, giving him enough wealth to finally purchase many items he had previously been unable to afford. One of Luo Feng's first purchases was a 10.000 primordial crystal intelligence report containing detailed information on Yulan City's divine emperors. The information was stored inside a piece of black jade and could only be accessed after performing a special heart spell technique. Once activated, the jade dissolved and transferred its contents directly into Luo Feng's consciousness. The report listed approximately 3.47 million divine emperors in Yulan City, with intelligence gathered on 3.397.320 of them. The report ranked Wei Yong Palace Master as the strongest divine emperor in Yulan City, a half-primordial level enlightened expert from the source world. He possessed overwhelming physical strength capable of personally killing perfect-level low-level primordial lives and had also demonstrated terrifying mastery of formations by exterminating entire primordial life tribes. Nearly 100 elders were completely loyal to him, forming the city's largest faction and controlling about half of all commercial trade. Even notorious criminal organizations such as the Insect Nest, Shadow Tower, and Deceit Workshop, responsible for theft and robbery throughout Yulan City, ultimately served under his authority. The second-ranked powerhouse was Yuan Shang Palace Master, another half-primordial level enlightened expert and the founder of Yulan City itself. The report praised his tremendous contributions in establishing the city through countless battles against primordial life tribes. Although his explosive offensive power was considered even greater than Wei Yang's, his physical body remained severely weakened after being contaminated by a high-level primordial life. Every one of his avatars carried the same injuries, forcing him to rely on long-range attacks. Because of his declining condition and infrequent intervention, his faction, despite also having nearly 100 elders, was somewhat weaker than Wei Yang's. Reading this, Luo Feng developed genuine respect for Yuan Zhang's sacrifices in creating the city. The third strongest figure was Gai Dao Divine Emperor, another half-primordial level enlightened expert from the source world and one of the top 3 artifact refiners in the entire Nine Rivers sacred realm. He cared little for politics or warfare, instead leading around 30 elders dedicated to crafting powerful weapon secret treasures sold across multiple cities. His own combat strength, amplified by his creations, was believed to rival Wei Yong Palace Masters, though he rarely fought. The report included examples of him effortlessly destroying a perfect-level primordial life with an abyssal treasure, crushing an elder to death with a single giant hand after being offended, and even devouring one of his own disciples in anger, demonstrating that his body itself was terrifyingly powerful. The intelligence further revealed that among the recorded divine emperors, only 3 had reached the half-primordial level. Another 723 were late-stage divine emperor enlightened experts or equivalent. 52.092 were mid-stage divine emperor enlightened experts or comparable. while the remainder had reached the minimum recognized standard of early-stage divine emperor enlightened strength. Individuals like Emperor Meng, whose power relied primarily on bloodline rather than true enlightenment, were not officially recognized. The report also listed 53.321 suspected early-stage divine emperor enlightened experts, with much shorter descriptions. Luo Feng discovered that he himself appeared at the very end of the list as the 51.029th suspected early-stage divine emperor enlightened one, identified as a recent arrival living with Emperor Qing and likely a source world powerhouse. Amused, Luo Feng realized he had already been quietly included in Yulan City's intelligence network.